What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Surfside PPC YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to be going over LinkedIn ads targeting and telling you all of the different audiences that you can target through LinkedIn advertising. And I'm also going to give you some best practices along the way when you want to test multiple audiences and see what actually works the best for your business. So the audience that you target, first and foremost, you want to target people who are going to be the most interested in whatever it is you're offering. So when you're setting up your audience, the very first thing that you need to do is come up with a list of here is who we are trying to reach based on what we are promoting, because it can vary based on all sorts of different industries that you're in. If you're trying to promote a medical product, you obviously don't want to promote that to a group of marketers. If you're trying to promote marketing software, you don't want to promote that to a group of accountants who have no interest in marketing software. So you're trying to find the right audience at the right time that's going to be interested in whatever it is that you're promoting. So when you're setting up your audience, I'm in here in a campaign that I've already built, but I will go back to the beginning and we will create a new campaign. I just want to go through when you are setting up your audience within a campaign, the very first thing that you do is you set up your location targeting. So when we click here to edit our location targeting, what you're going to see here is the different locations we can target. And there's two different options as far as locations. There's permanent location, so people who permanently live or work in the selected locations, and then recent or permanent, people who have recently visited or permanently live in the or work in the selected locations. So basically, I like to use permanent location. If your offer could be geared towards people who are just temporarily in a location, then that's perfectly fine. Use recent or permanent. Personally, I like to just use the permanent location because if I'm trying to promote to people who live in the United States, I don't want to promote to somebody who's maybe visiting the United States on a business trip and then goes back to their home country, and I can no longer actually promote my offer to them. So I like to use permanent location. I think it's a little bit more accurate for who I'm trying to target, but recent or permanent depends on what you're promoting. So we can choose our locations here. Now, let's just say I'm targeting United States. There's a lot of different countries you can target through LinkedIn advertising. So just check whichever country you're targeting, just search for it right here and it will come up. You can see some of the different countries here at the bottom, some of the most popular locations people target. Now, if I'm targeting in the United States, and let's just say I want to target a specific city or state, and I enter something like Denver. So when you enter Denver, you can see some of the different options you have. So Denver, Colorado, the city of Denver. They also have the Denver metropolitan area. So depending on the areas that you serve, you may want to target a larger area like the metropolitan area. You also have Denver County, Colorado. If you scroll down here, they're going to give you different Denvers throughout the United States in other states. So for this example, I'm just going to be targeting United States, but you want to make sure that you set the proper location targeting. Where is your target audience? So we're going to close this, and right now we're targeting United States. The next, and since I've already saved this, you're going to see your audience has their profile language set to. So basically what you want to do is make sure that you're choosing the right language here, depending on the language that your customers speak, the language that your offer is in. You want to make sure that the profile language is matched to your advertisements as well. So for this example, I'm going to be using English, but you can change this language if you are trying to reach people who are speaking other languages. So let's scroll down here. Now this is where we start targeting some of our different audiences. The very first thing I want to show you is that you are able to include people who have any of the following attributes. So I can do a group of different member interests. These are all related to paid advertising. And then I can say, and they also have any of the following attributes. Their company industry is in marketing services. So just by looking at this audience that I've created here, I've enabled audience expansion as well. Audience expansion allows LinkedIn ads to reach people who are similar to our target audience based on attributes like job titles, companies, or skills. So basically going out and finding other people that are going to be very similar to our target audience who may not fit these exact interests or job titles or industries, whatever it may be. So they're going to go find other people that are similar to that we're targeting. Now this audience right here, United States, profile language set to English, we have these member interests, and they must work in the company industry of marketing services, gave me a target audience size of about 270,000. Now, you may have questions about what target audience size should I use. The best thing to do, I would highly recommend if you're testing multiple audiences, make sure at least one or two are very broad audience sizes, because I think it works very well to use a broad audience, and then you can always narrow it down as you go. If you narrow your audience too much, it may limit the amount of people that are going to see your advertisements. LinkedIn recommends 50,000 plus for a target audience if you're using single image ads. So make sure this is at least 50,000 plus. I tend to try to keep mine in the hundreds of thousands, and then I will create audience sizes that are over 1 million as well, especially if I can use some of these broader audiences and see how they perform compared to some of the other audiences that we're targeting. Now, one of the things you're going to see is right here when you're setting up your target audience. If you haven't set anything here yet, you're going to see narrow or exclude. So we'll start with narrow, and when we click on narrow, that gives us all of the different audiences that we can target through LinkedIn. So you're going to see audiences right here. Use your data to retarget website visitors or reach known contacts and accounts. So these are also referred to as matched audiences. So you can upload lists of your contacts, you can upload company lists, you can create lookalike audiences based on some of your other matched audiences. So for example, if we come back here and we create a retargeting audience for our website, all users who have visited our audience. If we create that audience, what we can do is come back over here, go to lookalike and create a lookalike audience based on the people that are visiting our website. Now, these audiences are going to perform the best for you in terms of conversion. So if you're trying to drive direct conversions and you're trying to reach people who haven't converted yet, one of the things you can do is exclude people using a retargeting audience that have already converted on your website. So you can do a website audience already converted. You can also use a list upload of contacts and have a contact list of people that have already converted. If you're using software, for example, you could say, these are the lists of people that have already converted and they're already using our software. These are the lists of people that have visited our confirmation page on our website that shows that they have already signed up for our software. So you can start by excluding people who have already converted. We'll click on close here, narrow your audience further, and you can say, I want to retarget to anybody who has visited my website. I want to retarget to anybody who has visited my company page. If you create a company page audience, you could do people who have visited your organization page, people who have clicked a call to action button. You can see I have 168 unique visitors, not a ton of people visiting my company page. It's not like I have some massive company. So for larger companies, they get a lot more visitors than a company page like Surfside PPC would. So we'll click on the X here, come back to retargeting. So anybody who has RSVP'd for your events, people who have interacted with your lead gen forms or have submitted your lead gen forms. Single image. So if we click create a single image audience, it's going to be people that have interacted with our single image ads. So you can see any interactions, people who have performed chargeable clicks on your ad, 90 days in the past, 180 days, 60, 30, 365. So you can actually create some different audiences of people that have interacted with your advertisements as well. So that can be very useful. If you have a very long lead time, for example, if it takes people 60 to 90 days to eventually sign up for whatever it is that you're offering, then you may want to retarget them in different ways. People who have watched your video ads. So these are all the different options as far as retargeting. Now, one of the things that can be very helpful, if we click back over here to home, I'm going to repeat some of the things I just said, but when you click on learn more about matched audiences, it helps kind of paint a clearer picture of who you can target. An uploaded list of companies or contacts, and then retarget people who visited your website, engaged with single image ad, viewed video ad, opened or submitted a lead gen form, engaged with your company page, RSVP'd for a LinkedIn event. If you're doing any of these things, and as we scroll down here, create a lookalike audience or integrate contacts from a third-party system. So you can see these are all the different matched audiences that you can target. If you are trying to drive conversions, these are going to be the best audiences for your business. So one of the things that you may want to do is run a campaign that is targeting some of these different matched audiences here, and then you can also run other campaigns that are targeting audience attributes. So as people are clicking your single image ads, viewing your video ads, maybe interacting with your lead gen forms, then you can also target them, other people that based on their interests and traits, their job experience, education, demographics, and company. So we can click here to learn more about targeting criteria, but I'm going to go through some of these different options here. Now, one of the things that I want to go over is when you're testing different audiences in LinkedIn ads, you need to set up different campaigns for different audiences. So as we go through the different audience options here, at the very end of this, I'm going to be going over the best practice for, let's just say you want to test 4 audiences. You have a budget for the next month, and you're saying, I want to target the best possible audience for my business based on my conversion data. The way to test that is by setting up, let's say, 4 different campaigns, and then you're going to spend an equal amount with those campaigns, run the same exact ads within those campaigns, and then see over time which campaigns are performing the best for you, and those are the ones you want to scale up. So hopefully that makes sense. And as we go through audience attributes here, one of the things that's really helpful is LinkedIn Ads actually has a really good PDF about all of the different targeting options that they have. I will link to this PDF in the video description because it goes over a lot of things I'll go over in this video, and they also have more information as well. When you're targeting someone on LinkedIn, these are all of the different things that you can target. So they have a profile here, and you can see location, Seattle, Washington, USA. School, Boston University, field of study, communication, Bachelor of Science, graduation, age, company they work for, the size of the company, the industry of the company, their job title, function of their job, and seniority of their job, groups that they are a member of on LinkedIn, different skills that they have, so SEO, social media, and then some of their interests. So this is really good to look at because when you are targeting people through LinkedIn ads, it's good to know, okay, we're trying to target people who are marketing managers, work in marketing, they have an undergraduate degree, and let's just say they have interests in marketing and advertising as well. So if you're trying to target people, you need to understand some of the different ways that you can actually target them. So this is a very good way to look at it. Now, as we come down here and we are targeting some of these different audience attributes, let's start with company. And one of the things that's really helpful with LinkedIn is if you're not sure how any of these targeting works, they have little question marks here that give you a quick one sentence, find members based on the companies listed on their LinkedIn profile. So the good thing about LinkedIn is when people create their LinkedIn profiles, they generally keep the companies they're working for up to date, they have their education up to date, they have their job experience based on all the companies they've worked for up to date, and then the interests and traits are going to be based on all of the things you do on LinkedIn. Basically anything that LinkedIn can track about you, they're going to put you in some of these different interest and trait groups that they have already pre-built. So let's start at the top here with company. Now, the very first thing at the top is company category, which are pre-built through LinkedIn. So when you click on company category, it has Forbes, world's most innovative companies, Fortune 100, fast growing, Fortune 1000, Fortune 500. So basically all of these different top company lists that people may work for. So for example, if you're going to choose Fortune 500, again, over here, the question mark, reach members who work for organizations that fall into the Fortune 500 US only company category. Total members with this attribute says 22 million. So it's a very large audience already. So that's one option you have is targeting some of these different company categories. So coming back over to company connections. Now, before we search for a company here, let's click back to company connections. Going to say reach the first degree connections of employees at the companies you select. So the companies will be available if they have over 500 employees. I don't generally use company connections that often, but let's just say we'll use Microsoft as our example. So over 10,000 employees. So if we choose Microsoft as company connections, well, let's get rid of some of these other targeting that we have. You can see if for consistent optimal campaign and delivery, suggest a minimum target audience of 50,000. So we'll get rid of some of these other audiences that we had targeted, remove all attributes, and click on close. So if we're targeting people who have company connections from Microsoft, that gives us 6.7 million. So a very, very large audience. Obviously, this is going to go down as you target smaller companies, and it will increase if you're targeting more companies or larger companies. So that's another option you have under audience attributes, finding the actual connections of the employees at a company like Microsoft, for example. Now, company follower of, this is going to be an option where we can actually target people who follow our company page. So company follower of, Surfside PPC, so I can target anybody who follows my page. I think I only have around 1,000 followers, so this wouldn't be a very large audience to target. But again, this is one that you could incorporate if we come back over here into some of our matched audiences. So let's come back in here to company growth rate. So negative growth companies all the way up to 20% plus company growth. So maybe you want to reach companies that have 10 to 20% growth within your ad campaign. You want to reach high growth companies, or maybe reach companies that aren't growing with some type of solution to help them start growing. So this another option you have is company growth rate. Company industries. So what you can actually choose is the industry of the company that people are working for. So for example, I can reach people who work for construction companies. So if I click on construction, you can choose one of these other options here as well. Maybe I want to reach people who are in building construction. So we'll choose building construction, 840,000 target audience size. So another option that you have is targeting people based on the industry of the company they work for. Company names. So if we click this, pretty straightforward, just search for a company name and you're going to target people who are working for that company based on their LinkedIn profile. Come back over again to company, and we have company revenue and company size. Both pretty self-explanatory. How much does this company make? And then company size, how many employees does this company have? So you could reach very small companies. It could also be very useful if you're saying, I want to reach startups with my offer. So maybe you're only reaching companies with 200 employees or less, and then you can exclude people in some of these other companies as well. So you can include some of these smaller companies, and then you can also exclude some of the larger companies if you want to. So those are all the different options as far as company. Pretty much anything you can think of, whether it's connections that people have to other people that work for a certain company. So maybe you want to reach anybody who is connected to some type of small niche software company and all of their connections, and trying to find really this targeted group of people that may be interested in your offer. So company, hopefully that all makes sense. Pretty easy to kind of go through and choose some of the different things you want to target, especially if you're trying to target a specific company or industry. Demographics, member age, member gender. So these are pretty easy to understand: 18 to 24, 25 to 34, 35 to 54, 55 plus. One thing you do need to see is by checking this box to enable this field, I certify that I will not use LinkedIn to discriminate based on age or other protected characteristics relating to employment, housing, education, or credit. So if you're promoting any of these things, you cannot discriminate based on age or other characteristics. So pretty self-explanatory as well. Member gender, so you can choose male, female here. You also need to check this box as well. So if you're using demographics, that is age and gender. So if you're trying to reach people of a certain gender, of a certain age, then you want to choose that here. You can also exclude if you want to. Maybe you want to exclude people who are 18 to 24. You're trying to reach an audience of 25 plus with whatever your offer may be. Next is going to be education. So you can choose the level of education people have had, the degrees they have, the fields of study they've went to, or even schools that they've gone to. So you can choose people with specific schools. You can choose people depending on the field of study that they did in college, and based on the degrees they have, including the level of the degree they have from associate all the way up to PhD. So coming back over here to some of our different options, next is going to be job experience. So job functions, seniorities, titles, member skills, and years of experience. I like using some of the member skills here. So to come back to our other example, so somebody who is a senior marketing manager, that is the job title. The function of the job is marketing. The seniority of the job is senior individual contributor. But when you use skills, you can target people and say, okay, I want to target people who have blogging skills with whatever this new writing tool that I have that's going to help them become better bloggers. So that is one way to use skills along with maybe a job function or a job title. So coming back over here to our targeting. So job functions, you can see these are a lot of the main jobs that you would expect people to have. So for example, I could say I want to reach people who work in human resources. Their job function is human resource. It's going to be a very large audience size because these are much more broad, the function of the job that people are actually doing. So when you choose something like marketing, obviously marketing is a massive, massive field with all of these different subcategories within it. So when you're choosing marketing, we'll get rid of human resources. You can see over 3.5 million people on LinkedIn that have a job function of marketing. So you can choose something like this and then narrow it and say, again, I want to reach somebody who has a job function of marketing, who works in SEO, who is a member of groups related to search engine optimization and related to content creation. So those are some different ways you can build different audiences based on jobs, interests, skills, even seniorities as well. So unpaid, training, entry, senior, manager, director, VP, chief experience officer, owner, and partner. So you can reach people based on different types of job seniorities that they may have. Now, job titles, the one thing to keep in mind with job titles is, let's just say, for example, I'm targeting a marketing job title. So I want to make sure I'm reaching marketing managers. When you click on a job title like this, they're generally going to give you a bunch of suggested job titles, and it's going to allow you to target more and more people based on their job title. So e-commerce marketing manager, online marketing manager, digital marketing manager, all basically mean a very similar thing to marketing manager. So if we add some of these different options here, you can see it, make sure that we're targeting basically every single marketing job title that we can. So it allows you to increase your overall audience size. So don't think you should just limit job titles because people use so many different job titles out there. So you want to make sure you're incorporating all of these suggested job titles if you want to increase your target audience size as well. So let's remove these attributes right now and we'll come back to our job experience. So that was job titles. Now member skills I like to use a lot because you're actually targeting people based on some of the different things they do at their job. So technical writing, for example, is going to be different than somebody who is into content marketing. Is going to be different than somebody, for example, who's in human resources, like we said before. So if you go to member skills and you see human resources, you'll also see other categories within this. Human resources for health. So let's say I have some medical thing that I'm trying to promote. Now you can see this gave us a very small audience, so it may tell us to increase our overall target audience size by adding some of these other member skills. So you may want to go into other things related to health as you are trying to increase this audience size. But you can also create very narrow audiences and make sure you're targeting the right people at the right time. So let's come back over here, come back to our narrow audience attributes, job experience, last 1 years of experience. So you can see starting from 1 year up to 12 plus years, I can say I want to reach people who have at least 10 years of job experience. So if I do that, then it's going to make sure that I'm targeting people who have worked within the same job or industry for a long period of time. So we'll click on the X here and come back to some of the other options, interests and traits, last but not least. So member groups, so if we come over here, these are going to be people who share interests or professional associations by belonging to the same LinkedIn groups. Now, interests and traits, much easier to kind of understand. Interests, what people are actually interested in. And then traits is going to be some of the different things that frequent travelers, desktop users, open education. So if we start with member traits on the bottom here, you could see career changes, expat, frequent contributors, frequent travelers, open education, open to relocation. So these are going to be kind of just these broad member traits based on almost life events recently. Now, member interests, you're going to find 3 different options: general interests, product interests, so things they would actually want to purchase, and service interests, things they're interested in actually getting service for their company. So if we start here with service interests, for example, you're going to see some of these different options: business consulting services, environmental consulting services, health insurance services, real estate services. So if you're interested in any, or trying to reach people who are interested in specific services, this is what that would mean. Now, product interests, what are people interested in purchasing based on their history on LinkedIn? So, for example, somebody who's interested in content management systems. If we keep scrolling down here, somebody who's interested in productivity software, somebody who's interested in transportation software. So basically, you're trying to reach people who have interest in purchasing these specific types of products. So this could actually be very useful, for example, if I say, okay, I have some new productivity software. So we'll click right here, and it's specifically a calendar software. I can target people with that member interest of calendar software, 180,000 target audience size. So to me, this would be a great member interest to target with my productivity calendar software. So I actually really like product interest because you're reaching people who are going to be more interested in purchasing what you have to offer. So if I'm offering some type of marketing software, we'll get rid of our productivity software here, and we go into marketing software. It's a direct marketing software, so we'll choose this one. So we have direct marketing software, and it's an email marketing software. Keep choosing the wrong ones. Email marketing software here. So 87,000 target audience size. People who have shown an interest in email marketing software, I can try to convince them to switch over to mine and say it's easy to switch, it's less expensive, it has more features. So very simple to try to reach the right people when you are using some of these different product interests. Now, coming back over here to our interests, and we're going to go to general interests. These are going to be much more broad general interests that people have. So if we come down here to finance and economy, and then we say financial investing and venture capital, people who are interested in venture capital. So if we click on this, then we're targeting 29 million people. These are very, very broad audiences. So you'll see the target audience size. This is huge. So a lot of times when I'm using member interest, I will close this. So let's narrow this audience further. And what you want to do, sometimes it's a little confusing when you're trying to narrow an audience, is we have our member interest here, venture capital. So let's go back to our audience attributes. And one of the things you can do is search venture capital right at the top here, and it's going to pull up some other options as well. So let's just say we want to reach venture capital member skills. So we click on this. It's going to say member interest, venture capital, or member skills, venture capital. What you want to do is click on this little or right here and choose end. So that means people that have an interest in venture capital and a skill of venture capital. And you can see this brings our target audience size down quite a bit. So we're going to reach people that have both skills and interests in both of these things. A lot of times the member interest categories to me are very, very broad. If I show any interest at all in venture capital, it may put me into that bucket. But ultimately, do I have an interest in venture capital every single day, all the time? Am I looking for venture capital products? No. So what you may want to do is try to narrow your audience using some of these multiple audience attributes that you have. Now let's come back over here and let's click back to our account and let's go over one of the things you want to do is use campaign groups when you're testing different audiences. So when you're here in the campaign group section of your LinkedIn campaign manager, you want to click on create, click to create a campaign group. You can name it. So let's just say sample campaign group. Status, you can use active or a draft. We'll just set it as active. And let's just say I want to run this starting today, and then we want to set an end date with a budget. So my total budget for the next month, let's say, is $10,000. We'll start our campaign today and run it through to the end of July, so till July 31st. So you can see we have our $10,000 budget. We have our campaign group. We click on create. Now I've already created one like this, so we're going to click on cancel. We're going to come back here to our marketing group, and if we click on it and we click on edit, what you're going to see is the name of my group, my campaign group. If we scroll down here, you can see my start and end date, my total budget, same exact thing. So now what you can do is within this campaign group, we have a $10,000 budget within this campaign group. What we want to do is come into this campaign group. I have 2 campaigns running. So what you can do is create your first campaign. So just come here, create a campaign. As you go through the process of creating your campaign, you're going to choose this campaign group. We're going to click on next. You want to choose your objective. So for mine, I was using website conversions. Generally, I'm using website conversion campaigns or lead generation campaigns. Also, you can use video views as well if you're trying to target people with videos and get video views at the same time. But let's just say we want to run a website conversions campaign. We scroll down here, you can see it already has our target audience from earlier, so we can reset and start over. So let's reset and start over. Now what you want to do is target your location, target your profile language, and then we can narrow our audience further or exclude other people. So you go through this process, create a single image, carousel, video, text, whatever ad format you want to use. I will be creating more videos about all of these different things I'm going over in terms of ad formats and some of the different options you have in LinkedIn Campaign Manager. So the placements where you want, now this is where it's important. Your budget and schedule. Our campaign group total budget is $10,000. So over a 30-day period, that means we're spending about $300 to $350 a day. So what you want to do, what I would recommend doing, is if you have a budget like this, I would run a $100 daily budget. We're going to set a start date, and we can set an end date for this as well, the same time as our campaign group. Again, you can always change your start and end dates. You can always change your budgets. So don't think that you're locked into any of this. So what you're going to see is your campaign will run for 35 days, starting from June 27th. We'll spend up to $3,500 total. Our optimization goal is website conversions, and we're going to use the bidding strategy of maximum delivery to get the most results possible within our full budget. We scroll down, you want to choose the conversions that you're actually targeting. And then as we scroll down here, what you want to do is click on next and then set up your ads. Now I've already done that within my one campaign, so we're going to exit this without saving. We're going to come back over here. So I have marketing interest broad, and then I have marketing interest in industry. So with marketing interest broad, I'm just targeting some different member interests. It's a very broad group that I'm targeting. With this one, I'm using a combination of the industry people work in along with their industries as well. So what you can do is we have our ads. I like to use the same exact ads in every single campaign because the only way that you can test the audience is using the same advertisements, the same ad copy. Once you create a campaign, come over here, click on the 3 dots and duplicate your campaign. Now, when you duplicate your campaign, it's going to say new campaign name. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll just name my campaign whatever I'm targeting. For right now, I'm just going to put new campaign, and we'll scroll down here. We have our destination account, my Surfside PPC ad account, within my campaign group, the marketing group that we set up earlier, and now we can select our ads. So what you want to do is you can select these same exact advertisements and just link to the original ad. So then if you ever go back and change any of your advertisements, they will link to that original ad every single time you change an advertisement, and you don't have to do it for every single campaign. So this is generally how I will set it up. So what we can do is duplicate our campaign, and then now we're going to edit our duplicated campaign. Okay, and you're going to see your campaign has been successfully duplicated and saved as a draft. So if we come over here to set up our ads and we change anything with our advertisements, if you're using the same ads for every single campaign, then it will keep them up to date for every single campaign as well. So for right now, we'll keep this as new campaign. As we scroll down here, one of the things I want to go over is within your audience, up at the very top here, you can save specific audience that you've already built. So this was the one that I already built. I was using it earlier. So if we click on it, it's going to automatically pull in that saved audience. So this can be very, very useful if you find audiences that are working well for you. I will also just generally save audiences as I'm creating campaigns, because if something's going to work, then I already have that audience saved. So when you set up your audience, you scroll to the very bottom, you can see reset audience, view audience summary, and right here, save audience. All you need to do is you only get 25 characters. So all you need to do is name your audience, and you can describe the audience as well if you want to. So let's reset this audience here. We're going to clear all of our targeting criteria. So we're going to come back up. And now what you're going to see is within our audience, one of the other options you have with, as well as saved audiences, are built-in LinkedIn audiences. So let's first set our location here, United States, and we'll click on close. And we have our audience has profile language set to English. Make sure we select United States, and then we'll click on close. And now we're setting up our audience. You can see the LinkedIn audiences. So if we click here, there's 26 audiences, I believe, here. So we have medical doctors, members with a master's degree, marketing professionals, I already said that one, mortgage professionals, new to job market, expertise in telecom, small business owners, software engineer professionals. So let's just say I want to reach, since I'm using marketing as my example, I want to reach marketing professionals. So existing selections will be replaced. Okay. The only thing we have is United States here. They changed this to recent or permanent, so just make sure you come back over here and change it to our permanent location. Click on close. Then as we scroll down, you're going to see include people who have any of the following attributes, 3.2 million, and there's all these different marketing job titles. Market manager, digital marketing director. So where I find this very useful is if I am trying to target people based on job titles, a lot of times these built-in LinkedIn audiences are using exactly that. Customer experience professionals is going to reach people with those types of job titles. Event planners is going to reach people with those types of job titles. So you can use these built-in LinkedIn audiences as well. You can also use them and narrow them down further. So I can say people who with any of these job titles, narrow further, and let's say search engine, and we want to reach people who have a member skill of search engine. And now we have a targeted audience size of 420,000. So we click on close. If you want to continue to narrow this, you can keep narrowing your audience. So it has also have any of the following attributes. And then we can say, let's do search engine optimization. And let's come down here. We'll choose SEO as a member interest. So we'll choose that. That gives us 390,000 plus. So you can start to narrow down this audience if you're saying, I want to reach people that work in marketing, that have a member skill of search engines in general, have an interest in search engine optimization. Let's narrow this even further. Audience attributes, let's say job experience, and we'll say years of experience. We'll say 3 years and up. Okay, so now we're down to 310,000. Now, one of the things you can see with this segment breakdown is you can see function of their job, marketing, media and communication, business development. So this is really good. I want to reach marketers who are interested in search engine optimization, who have a skill of search engines. So this would probably be a very relevant audience for some type of SEO product that could be useful for someone. So when you do segment breakdown, one of the things you can see here is seniority. So you can see entry level 39%, senior 25%, and then on and so forth down here as we're looking at some of these segment breakdowns. So one of the things you can do is if you're saying, I don't want it to be around 40% of people that work in entry level jobs, we come over here, our years of experience, and let's say, come back to our audience attributes. Let's say years of experience, we do 7 years. Okay, we'll click on close. So that brings that down a little bit and gives us more senior. So you can increase years of experience. Now you can't continue to narrow over and over and over again. So when we click on narrow, what you're going to see is under audience attributes here, under job experience, some of these things we're not able to use along with some of the other options that we had above. So when we're using some of these different targeting options, you're not going to be able to narrow based on every single possible thing that you can. So this would be a pretty good audience to me if I'm trying to reach, people interested in search engine optimization, who have years of experience, who have interest in search engines, who work in jobs that are related to marketing. But let's keep going over our segments here. Years of experience. So we're reaching mostly people with 12 plus years of experience. Coming down here, company size. So you can see the size of the company based on who we're reaching. So for the most part, we're reaching a lot of smaller companies, and then we get down to 10,000 plus employees down here. Next is going to be industries that people actually work in. So for the most part, advertising services, technology, information, internet, and then some different industries down here as well. And last but not least, some of the different interests that people have: advertising strategies, digital marketing, marketing research, SEO. So these are some different ways to build your audiences and some of the different audiences that you can target within LinkedIn. So let's just say, for example, this is the marketing group I want to save. We'll come up here to save, and we can say search engine optimization marketing jobs. Okay, so I like to name my campaign again, whatever I'm targeting. Scroll to the very bottom, and all we have to do is make sure we have the right conversion selected here. Since we duplicated everything, it should be exactly the same as our other one. So right now what this would say is our daily budget is $1,000. I guess I set a $1,000 lifetime budget for the other campaign. So generally what I would do is we'll come down here, click on next, and we'll scroll down. Here are the ads that we're using. We'll click on next again. And now, last but not least, we need to review and launch this campaign. So let's launch our campaign now. And it's going to say your ad is being reviewed. We will receive an email within 24 to 48 hours if there's any problem. But right now, this is an active campaign. If I were doing exactly what I said, where within my campaign group, I want to spend $10,000 over the course of the next month, I would come in to this marketing group. I would create 4 different campaigns, spending $100 a day. So we're going to start by spending $400 a day. You can always start smaller, but by running $100 a day, you're going to be able to see how these campaigns are performing. And if you are running ads for clients in LinkedIn, it's very important that any client that you have understands that LinkedIn advertising is an expensive advertising channel. It's definitely for larger companies, and you need to test. So that means you need to use test budgets, which means you are going to have waste within your spend. So I'm targeting a broad marketing interest group. I'm targeting marketing interests in industries, people with specific job titles. If I were to create another campaign, I'd probably try to incorporate some of the different retargeting options that we have. Now, instead of doing this, come back over here and duplicate the other campaign because it'll keep all the same settings. But if we come back in here, if you are targeting people based on some type of marketing product, you can use other audiences here as well and try to test different things based on all of these different attributes that you have. But we can also incorporate some of these different matched audiences and say people that are part of our list, people that are in our lookalike audience, or people who are in our retargeting audience, people who have interacted with our advertisements. So you can do all of those as well within a campaign. Just keep in mind these matched audiences are going to perform better than using audience attributes for the most part. But again, come in here to interests and traits, do member interests, and one of my favorite things is using product interests or service interests because it's things people are actually interested in. Some of the different member traits, so if you're trying to reach people within a specific life event, this is where you can do that. Member groups, so I like to use member groups as well, and this will be probably the last thing I go over in this video. Member groups, I can say, okay, let's search marketing, and these are all of these different types of marketing groups. So what I can do is choose a bunch of different marketing groups here, and it's going to give you a pretty small target audience. So I can say people that are in these marketing groups, and we can choose advertising. If I did SEO, you're going to find more things related to SEO. So there's all of these different groups through LinkedIn. So you can target people that are members of these groups, because if I took the time to say, okay, I want to join the SEO and link building, SEM, Google, e-commerce, internet marketing group. If I took the time to join that group, I have an interest in that stuff. I have an interest in SEO copywriting. I have an interest in SEO plus Google Analytics. So if you're targeting people within these groups, you know for a fact that they have actually told LinkedIn, I am interested in this stuff because I joined this group. Now, within some of these other interests, in terms of these member general interests, these are going to be based on things you do on LinkedIn. So if you show an interest in something for 2 weeks and you're not interested in anymore, maybe it's something like cryptocurrency, you may be put into that interest group. So I like to kind of combine some of these different audience targeting options here. Continue to narrow your audiences. Exclude people if you're trying to, for example, audience attributes, education, let's just say anybody who has a PhD. So I don't want to target anybody who has a PhD. Maybe I'm trying to promote my PhD program. So you can exclude people who would not be interested in what you want to promote. I wouldn't go too crazy with trying to exclude all sorts of different people, but what you want to do is, obviously if I'm trying to say, hey, join up for our PhD program, what you'd probably want to do is target people who have an education level where they'd be interested in a PhD program, people who have a master's degree, and then you want to exclude people who already have a PhD, because if you already have a PhD, it's going to be probably less likely that you want to go for a second one unless you love education. So hopefully this is all very helpful. Hopefully I gave you some different best practices when you're trying to target people on LinkedIn. You obviously start with your location targeting, then you have your language targeting, and then you're trying to just reach the right target audience at the right time and understand when you are setting your audiences. Matched audiences will perform better. Audience attributes, if you're targeting very, very broad groups, you want to make sure you're narrowing it down based on some of the interests that people have, based on some of the job titles that people may have. And then also, if you're here in company, some of the different companies people work for, the size of the companies people work for, or people who are following specific companies. Somebody who's following a couple large marketing companies, probably going to be interested in some of the marketing things that I'm offering, rather than someone who may be following a company like Nike or Adidas or whatever it may be. So hopefully this video was helpful for you. Hopefully you get started with LinkedIn advertising or improve your targeting on LinkedIn advertising if you haven't already. Thank you for watching my video today, and make sure you subscribe to the Surfside PPC YouTube channel.